Taking the plunge into homeownership can be a big undertaking. And in a hot real estate market like this, it's no wonder families are stressed out trying to make homeownership a reality. One major topic that comes up time and time again is around the home down payment and if you really need to go for 20% down or not. Recently, I received a question from Juan on this very topic, and here it is.
Pretty much my big question is, my wife and I, we make about 250 grand a year. We're debt free. The only issue is we don't have a home. And I guess my big question for you is, what do we do about the market? Do we aggressively save right now? Because I know at Ramsey, they teach 20% minimum, and that would take us so much longer because we live right outside of the New York City, and a decent sized home here is $750,000 to $1 million. And that would take us some time. Or would you say, is it bad to just get or put 8% down? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Let me know what you think.
Juan, thanks for reaching out. The voicemail was a bit garbled at the end, but I believe you said, is 15% okay instead of 20%? For our sake, let's just go and pretend that's what you said, because that's what I'm going to talk about. Ultimately, this is a personal decision, Juan, that has financial ramifications to it. Let's talk about the benefits of putting 20% down on your house, and we'll talk about the cons as well for a balanced video. Everybody, if you like what you hear today, please consider giving me the YouTube triple thanks. That's hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and then commenting down below. I appreciate you considering it as I'm looking to grow my channel this year. Thanks. Okay, let's go over the benefits of putting 20% down on a house. Number one, avoids PMI. With most conventional mortgages, putting 20% or more down helps you avoid private mortgage insurance, which is PMI. This is an additional lender fee that can be around 1% of your loan. Let's say you're shopping in the $500,000 range for a new home. If you dip below a 20% down payment, not only will your monthly mortgage payments be higher, but the PMI will steal more of your money each month. So if you only put 15% down on this $500,000 home, you could owe an additional $354 per month or $4,250 annually. If you go with a 20% down payment, you avoid the PMI altogether. Instead of a $75,000 down payment, you'd need a $100,000 down payment. Now that's a tall order, but it could be worth it in the long run. If you're talking New York City, New York, like you said, Juan, who knows? We might need to double the numbers here to be an accurate example, but we'll just use the $500,000 for everybody on the video. Number two, higher down payments help with lower interest rates. The lower your loan to value ratio is, the lower your interest rates can be. This is because the bank or lender feels you are a less risky bet because you're bringing more cash to the party. For example, let's say your $500,000 home has a $400,000 mortgage. Your loan to value ratio is 80%. If you go with a 15% down payment instead, your loan to value increases to 85% because your mortgage is $425,000 instead of $400,000. It doesn't sound like a huge difference, but let's do some calculations to see. I found that a $500,000 home with a 20% down payment with a 15-year mortgage, because you said you were a Ramsey guy, so a 15-year mortgage is suggested there. In today's market, depending on your credit score, you could get a 2.92% rate, which would make your monthly payments $2,691 per month without taxes and insurance. If you went with a 15% down payment instead, your rate would go up to 2.95% and your monthly payments would be $2,859. So with that slightly higher loan to value ratio and the slightly higher risk to the lender, you'd be paying almost $168 more per month for the life of your loan. Number three, you'll have more money for the costs of home ownership. Between the elimination of the PMI and the lower interest rate, we're looking at eliminating $500 per month if you go with a 20% down payment instead of 15% down. That's not a small amount of money. As a new homeowner, that $500 could help you with the many, many, many costs that home ownership has to offer you. These are often overlooked for new homeowners, and they come and they smack you in the face because we're so fixated on the interest rates and the mortgage payments, right? I know this to be true because it happened to me when I put 10% down on my first home. I could afford the mortgage, but the real surprise to me was the stuff I wasn't expecting as a previous renter. Things like utilities, like electric, gas, water, home maintenance and repairs, lawn care, snow shoveling, clearing, blowing, plowing, however you deal with the snow wherever you live. is still a cost or some time associated with it. Also, you'll want to save up for these one-time expenses as well. You got closing costs, you've got updates to the house when you move in, you got furnishing the new home, which is important, painting the home, stuff your spouse might not think about before you move in and then you want it. Blinds are really expensive. When we got our house, the blinds were just so freaking expensive. I don't understand it. My point is, there will be costs you need to be prepared for, and having extra cash will definitely help you with that unforeseen home ownership madness. Okay, now let's talk about the cons of 20% down on a house. Number one, it takes a really, really long time to save up. Depending on your financial situation and the area of the country where you live, saving up 20% can feel like it takes a lifetime. A $500,000 house may sound like a fairy tale to some of our listeners in Seattle, where the typical home values are around $900,000, while folks living in Indianapolis with their median home values at $208,000, or Atlanta at $366,000, or even Miami at $470,000 might think that's the appropriate example. So this all depends on where you live, but it also depends on what you make. Our household income is around $120,000 right now, while Juan's, in our example, is $250,000. His family income is more than double our income, but the area of the country he lives in is a lot more expensive. Since everyone's situation is different, the amount of time it takes for you to save up this down payment will be different as well. Number two, housing prices are rising like crazy. Last year, national housing prices rose by 19%. When you're saving your money in a high-yield savings account at 0.05%, it's tough to see how you'll ever catch up to housing prices this fast. Now, I'm not a fan of investing your home down payment money due to the volatility of the market and my past experience doing this in such a short time frame. I got a video right here. Depending on where you live in the country, 19% might be incredibly high or incredibly low. For example, Austin's home prices rose by 30% last year. And for our buddy Juan, prices in Manhattan are down compared to all-time highs in 2017. This probably has a lot to do with the pandemic and people leaving the city to go to the suburbs. Again, this surge in pricing is all relative to where you live. Number three, interest rates are rising. The Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates by 1/4 point this month. That means mortgage interest rates will most likely increase as well. Now, by the time you watch this, they may have already gone up. So taking the time to save up for a 20% down payment might mean your rate and your monthly payment will be higher. Depending on how the economy looks as the year rolls on, getting a mortgage may continue to get more and more expensive. So, is less than a 20% down payment okay? Now that we've looked at both the pros and the cons of a 20% home down payment in this market, I'm gonna share what I would do if I were in your shoes, Juan. Number one, crunch some numbers. Do the math and see how long it'll really take for you to save up the 20% down payment you need. Is it really gonna be forever? Or is it just gonna be like another year? If it's within a reasonable time frame, and you are the only person that can decide what reasonable is, then I'd keep plugging away at your savings until you get to the 20%. Number two, increase your income. You're making great money already. Can you increase that income during this period of time in your life? If so, I'd go for it. The best place to start with increasing your income is where you're already making money. Is it time for a raise? Can you get some bonuses where you work? How about commissions? Maybe referral fees? How about overtime? Find out ways to increase your income where you work already. If there's no opportunities there, can you work a side hustle for a period of time so your home ownership experience is something you actually enjoy? Or maybe you have some stuff laying around your place and you could sell it on Facebook Marketplace that things you don't use anymore and get some money for it. I believe this extra hustle will be worth it in the long run as a homeowner. Number three, decrease your expenses. Really look over your budget and determine if you can decrease some things over time. If you don't have a budget, check out a free tool like Mint. It's free, and our family uses it to keep track of our finances. We've done it for about a decade. Look at the big expenses first: housing, transportation, and food, and then look at the smaller stuff. Your extra attention here could make a huge difference. Number 4, consider a less expensive home. If home ownership is very important to you, but your exact location is not, consider looking around for a less expensive area. Or perhaps the area is very important to you, but you could get away with a smaller place. Consider that. Being flexible will allow you to make home ownership a reality much sooner. And then number 5, do your thing. After you've done all these things and you still really want to buy a house with less than 20% down, go for it. After all, most people in our country already do. According to the National Realtors Association, in 2021, the average home down payment was just 12%. And for folks under 30, that dropped to 6%. So it's not like you're doing anything wrong by going with less than 20% on your down payment. There are just some financial ramifications to that decision, and we've covered those in this video. If you're aware of those financial ramifications and you're financially prepared to battle them, then get that home of your dreams. I'm not stopping you. Do what you want. I hope that helps with your decision to buy your new home with a 20% down payment or not. It's a really big decision to buy a home. In fact, it's the biggest single purchase most people make in their entire life. So while it feels like you need to rush and get it as fast as possible, given the rising home prices and interest rates, it might make sense to slow down a little bit. After all, there's no race here. You'll be living as a homeowner someday soon. I'm hoping it'll be as a happy homeowner and not one that feels owned by their home. Well, enough from me, everyone. I would love to hear from you. What do you think of the 20% down payment on a house situation? What do you think about that in this crazy market? Do you think 10% or 15% is fine? Please let me know in the comments below. This is Andy Hill from Marriage, Kids, and Money, signing off. Carpe diem.